He was a Kobe fan.
Yeah.
I said, "You gonna drink the LeBron Sprite?" Yeah. I'm not even joking. He went back into the store. He returned it. Yeah. He returned it.
Didn't want to drink.
He didn't want to drink the LeBron Sprite. There was these giant warring factions, and then tiny little faction. Yeah. Carmelo fans.
That's right.
Carmelo fans. He had some. Right. There were people that were trumpeting Carmelo Anthony over both LeBron James and Kobe Bryant.
I don't know if he ever got the ring, Carmelo.
No, he never got the ring. Yeah. Most decorated Olympian of all time, though. I think he has 4 or 5 different Olympic medals. He's the best American Olympic basketball player in terms of accolades ever.
I think he won a title at Syracuse. Maybe.
He did.
He did win a title.
He won at every level except for the NBA, I believe. And he tried to get one, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you don't always win one. AKA the Black Pete Rose, because I always bet on myself. AKA a million other things. Welcome back to the afternoon shift.
Yeah. Shout out to Pete Rose.
Shout out to Pete Rose.
The Big Red Machine.
Yeah.
And, the whole deal. It was we were going to talk some baseball in today's
We were.
show.
We still might talk a little bit.
We still might talk a little baseball
from now.
The news of today. It's just been crazy. The news cycle. It's been nuts. There's a lot of stuff happening here in Minnesota. Most notably, it's this story about the federal authorities that are preparing an immigration enforcement operation, specifically targeting Minnesota's Somalian community. Obviously, Minnesota has, I think, the highest influx of Somali people anywhere in the world outside of Somalia, I'm pretty sure. This comes on the heels of President Trump's escalated rhetoric about the Somali community, and
for sure.
There were a bunch of different press conferences happening today about this.
Yeah, and I know we're going to check in and we're going to try to hear what the politicians, the people that are actually behind some of the stuff, are in the know with some of this stuff. You don't want to hear us two goofballs talk about such a serious subject matter, so we're gonna check in and see what they have to say. But yeah, it's something that we've been seeing it ramp up. We've been reporting on it here. It's been ramping up all over the state, and unfortunately, ICE is in these streets these days, and it sounds like it's only going to get ramped up even more to another level as the days go on here.
Absolutely. So we'll be covering that in today's show. Another thing that we're going to be covering in today's show is this fraud story regarding the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce CEO taking tens of thousands of dollars funding private family vacations, and he pleaded guilty to a bunch of fraud charges yesterday, and so he will be sentenced. But that's a pretty wild story. Paul Blume is going to come in and talk about that.
Yeah, who better to talk to than Paul Blume? And I got a lot of questions. How long was this stuff going on? What is the kind of punishments for this kind of stuff? How was he getting it? I mean, he didn't get away with it, but how was he getting away with it for so long? I got a lot of questions for Paul.
No doubt. So we'll be talking about that. This regional bike trail, a little bit of a lighter story. It's reopened in Minneapolis and across Hennepin County. It was closed for a long time, but it's reopened. Somebody from Bike MN is going to be coming in and talking about this bike trail. I know you're a big bike proponent.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a cyclist. It's my primary vehicle of transportation. I don't have my driver's license at the moment. A lot of people still biking in this weather.
That's right.
Still biking. They put the old fat tires on them. That's what they call them. I'm not body shaming any bicycles around here. That's what I call them, the fat tires. You can just glide right through the snow. We're all about the bikes. We've had a lot of bike stories on the show lately. Coincidentally, right when it turns cold, but we're all about the bikes here. And it's Minnesota, Minneapolis specifically, is one of the best cities in the country. Regularly voted as one of the best cities in the country for cyclists.
Yeah, I thought Fat Tire was just a brewing company or a beer company. I didn't realize that it was
it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Absolutely.
Something else that's a real thing, like we said earlier, were all these press conferences happening today in regards to this the Somali targeted immigration enforcement operations. Mayor Jacob Frey of Minneapolis spoke on this earlier today. Let's roll in a clip of what the mayor had to say about this.
My name is Jacob Frey. I'm the mayor of Minneapolis, and we are here to respond to a number of credible reports from several media outlets relaying that there are as many as 100 federal agents that will be deployed to the Twin Cities with a specific focus on targeting our Somali community. To our Somali community, we love you and we stand with you. That commitment is rock solid. Minneapolis is proud to be home to the largest Somali community in the entire country. They've been here for decades in many instances. They're entrepreneurs and fathers. They benefit both the culture and the economic resilience of our city. Targeting Somali people means that due process will be violated. Mistakes will be made. And let's be clear, it means that American citizens will be detained for no other reason than the fact that they look like they are Somali. That is not now and will never be a legitimate reason. For decades, the Somali community has added greatly to our city. The economic fabric, their hard work, their leadership, it has made Minneapolis a better place. We are not given advance notice or inside information about these kinds of operations. But here's what we can promise. We will not compromise our values here in Minneapolis. Our values and our commitment to the Somali community, to every community of immigrants and people in our city, is rock solid and will be unwavering. Our police, many of whom are Somali themselves, are trusted partners in keeping people safe. They will not collaborate with any federal agency around doing immigration enforcement work. Our city staff and our law enforcement will not ask the question as to whether an individual is documented or not. And by the way, there are more than 80,000 Somali people living in Minnesota. Almost all of them are both documented and citizens. And the city has worked with community partners who have compiled Know Your Rights information. And so here's what we know. You have the right to remain silent, and you have the right to a lawyer. You can refuse to sign documents until that lawyer is present. You have the right to not open the door unless a warrant has been shown. The city of Minneapolis provides free immigration legal resources. And if you or a family member or a loved one needs access to a lawyer, go to our website or call 311. And we're going to work with our partners. Partners like the city of St. Paul, partners like the state of Minnesota, to do everything to support our neighbors and to coordinate on any incident that happens. Obviously, this is a frightening moment for our Somali community. There have been many frightening moments over the last several months to our immigrant communities in Minneapolis. In Minneapolis, our diversity is diverse. People come from 1,000 different backgrounds, mentalities, and perspectives with one beautiful thing in common. They love our city and they're proud to call it home. And we're going to stand with them every step of the way. But we need to also be demanding better from an administration who is intent on targeting people and committing so much time, energy, and money to terrorizing certain groups within our community. That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Ku Janilahai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan. We love you, we stand with you, and we aren't backing down.
That was Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey just earlier this afternoon in response to this story about federal authorities coming here and planning immigration enforcement operations specifically against Somali immigrants living in Minnesota and Minneapolis specifically.
And we will have more info, more to hear from later in the show about the federal raids and I guess kind of just like flooding of Minneapolis, targeting our Somali population.
No doubt, no doubt. We are going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to bring in Fox 9 reporter Paul Blume. He'll have the latest on this story, as well as this story about the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce CEO fraud. I wish it could be more positive stuff today.
Right.
But
the news is the news.
The news is the news. The news is the news. Paul Blume will be next. Don't go anywhere. welcome back to the afternoon shift. Before we went to break, Max, we were hearing from Mayor Frey about this Somali immigrant enforcement operation story. It's a lot of bad stuff that's out there.
Yeah, like we said, we'd love to talk about more positive stuff, but this is what's in the news today, and no better person to talk to about this stuff than one Paul Blume.
Well, thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Paul. We heard from Mayor Frey. You've been on the phone with immigration attorneys and whatnot today. What's your perspective on the story?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it was coming, when you kind of started reading the New York Times over the holidays, starting, the rhetoric from the president. I felt like when I was coming, I was away for the holiday, but I felt like I was coming back to something on the ground in Minneapolis, and now we know what is happening. And you're right, I have been on the phone. I'm not in the field today, so I don't have that perspective of being in the community. Again, the targeting of 80,000, migrants. As the mayor mentioned, many of the Somalis are American. They're naturalized. They have the paperwork. They've been here for a long time. Who exactly they're going after, we're going to have to just watch, and that's what we do. We're watchdogs in the news media. So I checked in earlier this year. I was really immersed in some of the immigration policies and the impacts that was having. So I developed some contacts. And they were, talked to a couple of attorneys today, one who took a frantic call from a client who did get scooped up just this morning. He tells me he was on his way to work, was outside of his home. I don't have 100% verification, but it's an attorney I trust. And he said he was scooped up by ICE and brought to the Fort Snelling Processing Center. That's, that's where the Whipple federal building, that's where the court is, that's where ICE is based. And then they process someone and would likely then move them to one of the three jails in Minnesota that would have an ICE contract. But this is the way the story went to me, was someone who's been in the country less than 2 years, an asylum seeker. Wasn't sure if the man had family in the region or in this country. So there's a case that will begin. Someone detained, and are they likely headed out of this country? Stay tuned. He has an attorney. A lot of these people, that's an important part, is having an attorney, having representation, knowing how to work in the system and defend yourself once you are detained. So that'll be stuff that we watch in the Fox 9 investigative unit, the court filings, what happens now, the raids, if there are raids. Is it more subtle attempts to pick up one or two individuals here and there? We'll have to watch, and that's what we're out here to do. But and then he had also mentioned, just anecdotally, I don't have it on 100% proof. Again, just there's things that I'm phone conversations right now where someone of sort of a known name in the community was picked up this weekend in the Somali community that had upset some people. Anecdotal reports of, ICE showing up, door knocking. And it was interesting. He's an immigration attorney, and he took to Facebook. It was similar advice that the mayor just had a few minutes ago, the sound bites you played, but posted for his community in both languages, English and Somali. And, do not open the door unless ICE shows you a judge-signed warrant. You have the right to remain silent. You do not need to answer any questions. Do not sign anything if you are detained, and then contact an attorney immediately if you are detained. He is here to help. But again, that is happening today right under our noses in Minneapolis and then frankly across the region. I know so much attention today is on Minneapolis, but the Somali population is well spread out. Suburban neighborhoods, St. Paul, and points all over. I mean, this is a Minnesota story. I know we're zeroed in on Minneapolis at the minute, but these things may be happening elsewhere too. St. Cloud, you think about bigger population bases. So we're on it. We'll keep an eye out on it, but yeah.
I know we want to get to the embezzlement case, but you just said something that really made me curious. Like, how does that work? Like, we always obviously are so focused on the arrests, kind of like apprehension and whatnot. But like, what is that process like after the fact? Because you mentioned like jails having, contracts with ICE and stuff, and it's just kind of a stark contrast to. I mean, most in the mayor of St. Paul, in Minneapolis, being like, I didn't even know these things were happening. So like, how does that kind of connection between the jails and ICE happen?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and I was kind of immersed in it this year as the new administration, the administration's kind of policies went into effect, and there was this mass push to send people home or back to native lands, especially criminals, and we wanted to watch it to make sure that's who they were sending back, right? Not just, low-level people who might have had a violation. I mean, the president's point is, though, if you're in this country illegally, it's illegal. You're not supposed to be here. So you do see people scooped up. But, yeah, there are 3 county jails in across Minnesota that have contracts with ICE. So when you're detained, that is where you're headed. And a lot of these cases end up in the courts where I can watch them when people have sort of minimal criminal, violations on their record. It's more the paperwork, or they overstayed a visa, those kinds of things. And you go through the processing center at Fort Snelling right by the airport, the Whipple Federal Building, heavily secured. The courtrooms are on one level, ICE on a different level. And you go out to Freeborn County, Sherbourne, Albert Lee, Wilmer, or what's the third one I'm forgetting? Sherbourne Elk River. And those are the 3 detention centers that house these people as their cases play out. And some of these are being, fast-tracked. Like, they'll be on a plane before you know it. Others want to fight it. They have ongoing asylum cases.
When you say a plane, like a plane back to their native
country? Yeah. I mean, that's where these people go, and this administration has shown it's sending people back to other countries too. Some countries don't want to take. Some countries I don't know. Like, you'd be going out of my zone of knowledge. But I mean, I don't even what is our relations right now? I mean, does Somalia have a functioning government to yes, we'll accept these people back? I don't even know. I mean, these we've certainly heard stories of people going to third-party countries that are accepting some of our immigrants. So that's parts of the story that I haven't touched. I'm not knowledgeable on. I just don't know. I personally have not covered one where I've seen it through, where I know, this individual, wasn't, let's say it's Somalia or, Russia or who knows, but do you want to send them back? But that country doesn't want to accept them, and then they end up in Ecuador or some random place or whatever. But it's what we try to do as watchdogs, just keep an eye out for it and, better understand it. And today this is just all developing and breaking. And, a lot of people are citing the New York Times, but at least anecdotally from the lawyers I'm hearing from in the community reaction to it is there is a feeling that there is, in fact, a sweep going on, a saturation of federal immigration officials on the ground right now.
So messy and so complex, and I know that there's so much to it. We'll continue to keep our eye on the Somali story,
of
course. Let's move on to the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce CEO that pleaded guilty yesterday to several fraud charges. What's this story all about, Paul?
Well, Jonathan Weinhagen, this was a huge story yesterday, and for people who've been here for several years, I know you're new to the market, but Jonathan Weinhagen was, I don't want to call him a rock star, but he was a go-to guy for Minneapolis cheerleader, the Minneapolis business community, politics. I mean, he had connections all over sort of local politics, including Mayor Jacob Frey. And several years he was at the helm of a well-known face when we championed downtown Minneapolis, coming back from COVID, reopening downtown, all that kind of stuff. And all along, it turns out he was a fraud, and he was bilking, hundreds of thousands of dollars from, the Chamber of Commerce, which represents, Minneapolis's businesses, the business community. And the one that most people find so disgusting, and as someone who has covered the shooting of the 3 children several years ago, where they came up with that $30,000 pot of money, reward money, $30,000, he stole the money on the back end. No one came forward. Crime Stoppers was looking for the gunman, Anaya Allen, Trinity, and now I'm going to forget the boy's name at the minute. But it was a tragic summer. Two of the kids were killed. One was permanently brain damaged, and there was a request for the community to come forward, $10,000 per child if you gave us information to find the shooters, the gunmen, the people responsible. And at the end of a year, I think, went by, no one claimed that reward. And he, as a member of the chamber, reached out in his role to say, why don't you send us back the money and we'll disperse it into North Minneapolis where the shootings had occurred. And he took the money and he admitted to it. And yeah, it's one count of mail fraud is the official criminal guilty plea, and he'll be sentenced. They didn't have a sentencing date yesterday when he pled guilty, but he's probably looking at a couple of years in prison. A guy, father of 4, school board member over in the East Metro. He had to resign the post there, and his crimes, it's documented, cost several people at the Regional Chamber of Commerce a job. That organization has been in financial struggles since it emerged that he had ripped people off, and the justice is served him. He pled guilty. The case kind of went quickly. That he was to be arraigned yesterday, and he just skipped over to the guilty plea. I think probably hoping to convince a judge that he wants to take ownership for it and move on with his life.
How long was all this stuff happening, and how intricate was it that he was able to get away with it?
Well, years. I mean, he was there. He was a face and at the helm of the regional chamber for several years, and the allegations in the complaint and the indictments. 5-year period or so. Wow. But beyond the stealing of the crime fund, which 3 kids, Minneapolis. I mean, those faces were all all over the place, and to steal that money on the back end. I was there for the news conference where they kind of introduced the money. It's just crazy to think that it was so, brazenly stolen. But the other thing that was, you asked how intricate it was, he set up fake consultancies and was moving money over to an account, and he made up a false name. I think it's James Sullivan, if I have that right, James Sullivan. So on the indictment, his it's Jonathan Weinhagen, AKA James Sullivan. So it's the second name that he created, and it was so sophisticated, Max. He penned a fake obituary. At some point, people started asking questions about where's this consultancy, what's this consultancy contract all about that we had kind of pushed a couple $100,000 over to. So he went on legacy.com is the allegation, and wrote up a pancreatic cancer demise for James Sullivan. And so sophisticated, and he's spending stuff on personal, not that there's anything better than spending it on a crime fund, but it wasn't communal in any way. I mean, he was going on Hawaii, first-class plane trips, really arrogant and sort of kind of gross to spend the money that way. But yeah, he created a fake obituary thinking that might help him get away with the theft of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
People, you gotta have a certain type of arrogance to think that you're going to get away with this. Yeah. And you have a CEO job at Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce.
You're doing all right.
Yeah, it's not like you're just I don't know. This is
not a Robin Hood situation.
No, this is it's crazy. But I guess people are crazy out there. Yeah. They just think that they can just get away with anything.
And the father of 4, you think about his family left behind. He was going to banks, even at the back end as this world was crashing down, was trying to open bank accounts. He thought, I guess he thought he could get away with it, but he couldn't. And different kind of fraud. I know we've talked about just mass fraud across Minnesota, but this is a specific case. And, in one of his applications to try to get a bank loan, he wrote and signed the document saying he was making $450,000 as the regional, at the regional chamber and the like. So, but his world came crashing down. And yesterday in federal court, he had to admit to his crimes, and he'll learn his fate in terms of sentencing. He was not detained. He was allowed to go home, so he'll have to, when he goes in for sentencing, he'll either have to surrender at that point or perhaps, get a date on a calendar where you will show up to a federal prison and begin serving your time.
That is the scariest thing for me.
Serve in prison.
That's got to be nuts.
It's up there for me.
Well, don't make up. Don't do fake obituaries. Don't skim from Fox 9. Don't open accounts and make up fraudulent. And certainly don't steal from a crime fund. Never a good idea.
I'm curious, what has the reaction been? Because you mentioned this guy was a mover and a shaker.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you read these stories, and sometimes your initial reaction is kind of well, you hear about CEOs and rich people, embezzling and doing duplicitous, insidious things all the time, right? But it sounds like this guy was a pretty big deal locally, so I would imagine the reaction has been pretty staunch.
Yeah, I don't know. The Strip wrote up a nice piece over the weekend on the background. I didn't I knew him, right? We would interview him again as kind of the city of Minneapolis big cheerleader. But someone described it, was quoted as saying in the article about how this is the stuff of movies. Like you would make a movie out of this storyline and the stories he made up. I don't think, my understanding in some of the reporting is the mayor's office hasn't directly commented, because it was, he was certainly close with Weinhagen, and so that's interesting. And he even stole some money that was earmarked for a political action committee supporting those centrist candidates in Minneapolis, like Jacob Frey. So, he definitely, how do I want to say it, abused relationships that people probably trusted in him. Obviously there's been no implication that other people were scheming this. This was very personal and very selfish, what the expenses went for. So I think there are a lot of people hurt and shaken and rattled by it. And again, I think I mentioned during the conversation that regional Chamber of Commerce still is reeling from it. It was a big financial hit. They lost several people. I know at some point they were talking about teaming up with St. Paul to kind of form a joint one, I think because of some of the financial issues that have kind of and how do you, if you're a business, how do you trust a chamber from there? You can't even have oversight of if we're giving you money, to be members and to represent us and to fight for our causes at the city council or at the legislature, and you allow this to happen under your nose. You're probably a jilted, business owner. So it does. It impacts politics. It impacts, the business community, and it's just another one of those, just in a crazy news cycle, just one of those stories that's hard to believe.
Do the right thing. It all kind of just comes down to that, and you can never outrun the law either.
No.
It'll always catch up with you. So,
yeah.
Paul Blume, we really appreciate all of your insights with these two very complex stories. Again, not positive stories, but complex stories that we do appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for thinking of me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah,
we
you
got to
bet.
get you to, come on, you got to give us the.
Oh.
We got to go through.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
Paul Blume.
Paul Blume.
Fox 9.
We're going to have some more afternoon shift programming coming up after this. Don't go anywhere. shift. Max, we haven't talked about them in a while. The Minnesota Twins. It's the most positive sports story in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, we wanted to lift the spirits.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about all this serious capital N news, and what better way than talking about the Minnesota Twins?
Yes. We went from embezzling money to cutting payrolls down. So it all comes down to finances.
It always does.
Yeah.
Feels like embezzlement watching those games sometimes.
Yeah. The Twins ownership, they said that there's reports out there. They said they're looking to keep the 2026 payroll below $100 million, which sounds like a winning formula.
Yes,
there.
that sounds like exactly what injects excitement into the fan base, along with some other news tidbits that I saw coming up ahead of these winter meetings.
Yeah.
You know about that. It's kind of like all the managers,
it's fun.
all the managers and GMs and everybody.
Florida.
Yeah, all the
Palm
big
Beach.
wigs. Yeah, for sure. They get together, they goss, they gossip a little bit. They tell reporters, I'm thinking about getting this guy. I'm thinking about getting rid of that guy. And so you start to hear a lot of rumors ramping up around the winter meetings. And literally, the two rumors that I have read so far about the Minnesota Twins could not be worse.
No, yeah. I mean, they're gonna have to. Seems like they're gonna have to make a decision about their two stud starting pitchers, Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez.
Yeah, it sounds like no relation to Pablo Torre, who's been lighting up the journalism world on fire. But it's from Bob Nightingale of USA Today, one of the most plugged-in MLB insiders that there is. He said the Twins are they're mulling a choice right now. Do we trade our number one starting pitcher, Pablo Lopez, who has kind of been the anchor, arguably the best player on the team, certainly one of the best players on the team. He's the anchor of that whole starting rotation. Or do we trade our number two starting pitcher, Joe Ryan, who's under contract for another year, young guy who's got a lot of upside. Lots of teams around the league have been looking for him. Bob actually threw into his story that the Red Sox, where they said they were this close to getting him at the trade deadline, which I find very interesting, but I guess they just ran out of time. And then from equally plugged in, reporter Jeff Passan of ESPN, he said that Byron Buxton, the face of the Minnesota Twins organization for the last, almost decade now at this point, is considering, waiving his no trade clause for, the right team. So in the rumors today, if you're keeping track, the Twins are possibly mulling trading. They're arguably their best player, arguably their second best player, and arguably their third best player.
Great.
And they're going to keep payroll below $100 million because that's what fans care about is the poll adds money. I mean, it's like they're reading a playbook of how to make the fans excited and doing the exact opposite. It is an unbelievably poorly run operation with the Minnesota Twins right now. I just cannot believe how often they are spitting in fans' faces. Fans that have showed up despite the struggles over the last 2 decades, despite the ineptitude of the front office over the last 2 decades, despite some of the play on the field, despite weather conditions, despite everything. They have showed up for this team, and the team just continues to say, we don't care. And it's unbelievable.
The Twins, they're at 80-1 to win the World Series next year.
Great deal.
30-1 to win the AL. You brought up Byron Buxton, all-star last year, 35 home runs, 24
season
steals.
of his career.
Yes, best season of his career.
Healthiest as well.
He's a Georgia native. Obviously, the Braves. There's a lot of sense that it makes there. And
for sure.
I don't blame the guy. I mean, I
don't either.
He's 31. Like his window is probably
his window's closing, and this is a guy that wanted to be here. I mean, they asked him at the MLB All-Star game last year, and he said, "Nope, I'm a Twin. I'm staying here." This is a guy that's been through the organization. And granted, listen, he's had a lot of his own injury struggles and stuff like that. The organization stuck with him. He's stuck with this organization. He wants to be here. He likes being here. But that's how bad this whole thing has gotten, that even your star player, the guy that has been the face of the team, the captain of the team, waving the Minnesota Twins flag for the last decade pretty much, is like, you know what? I'm ready to bounce. And is there a world where a young Twins team full of upstarts and no names ends up being a fun watch and fighting to maybe get a wild card? Sure. But on paper, you have to give people a reason to come to the game. People are struggling right now. People ain't got a lot of money to be spending on frivolous things. And if you want the people to show up at Target Field and watch your product, you got to give them a reason to care. And right now, the Twins are doing nothing of the sort.
Yeah, it seems to be a theme in Minnesota these days of just trading away best players. Justin Jefferson, it looks like he might ask for a trade.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Yes.
I think a lot of people. This is the first time in history that I think a wide receiver is being encouraged to be a diva. I think we all know Justin Jefferson to be an upstanding person, a consummate teammate, consummate professional. He's not like a lot of the wide receivers, that have kind of out there personalities that we've seen over the whole course of the NFL. Really, I think this is the first time in history where people are like, you know what, you should be more like AJ Brown. Maybe you should be more like TL. Maybe you should be more like those kind of guys, because we all want to see Justin Jefferson do well, and it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen here. Yeah, obviously, but like I don't know. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, I don't care what it's. I'm not trading Justin Jefferson. That would be.
Who's throwing him the ball?
It doesn't matter. He's one of the most beloved players in Vikings history. It does not matter about the context. Yeah. People still are mad that the Vikings traded Randy Moss. It doesn't matter that he went off and not right away when he played for the Raiders, but eventually did, bigger and brighter things with the New England Patriots. It doesn't matter the context of that the team was struggling and everything. People are still mad. People are still mad about Kevin Garnett. Yeah. But we went out and we rooted for these guys because they were great guys. They did a lot for us. I wish Justin Jefferson the best. I hope he stays here because that's awesome. The kids love him. Every single kid and the whole Twin Cities can do the damn gritty. Yep. He's a great player. He's one of the best players that's ever donned the purple and gold. But listen, I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to get the hell up out of here.
Yeah, I'm just not speaking to reporters after the game.
Yeah, that's not him.
That's not him. I think it was the first time in his career, but he had a career low 4 yards on 2 catches.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough going through these type of seasons. And they've had kind of wishy-washy. This is maybe the career low for Justin Jefferson right now. So I can't imagine that it's not floating around in his head. I don't know, just knowing what we know about the guy, and maybe, agents and all different types of things. Maybe it's a thing where the Vikings are just like, hey, we need pieces to move on. Maybe they're thinking about it ahead of time before it even happens. But I can't see Justin Jefferson being that kind of guy. But I couldn't blame him if he was.
Yeah. This game on Sunday obviously doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of the NFL. But I'm going to be very curious with the fan reaction with the Vikings on Sunday, especially if the offense continues to struggle, because they have been on the road for most of these struggles. It's not like they have been playing that much better at home.
No, they haven't.
but I am a little nervous about not nervous, but I'm interested about the fan reaction if the offense does struggle in the first quarter at home against Washington.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't blame the fans. They've seen 5 home games this season. They've seen 1 win at home. One win at home. And I'm not even sure if that even. I'm not sure. Does the
Bengals? Yeah.
Yeah. Does the overseas game? Does one of those ones that they count? Does that count as the home? I don't know how that.
They crushed the Bengals.
They did crush the Bengals. They did crush the Bengals. Yes. You're 100% right about that. Yeah. They did crush the Bengals. But so I wouldn't blame fans if they started to get a little antsy, because 0 points, first time in 18 years.
It's crazy.
I had a friend, his son said, "I've never even seen this in my entire lifetime, Dad." And it's like, you fool. You thought there was no new lows as a Minnesota Vikings fan. There's always a new low. There's always a new low.
Well, a couple highs. The Timberwolves are playing at the Pelicans tonight. They should get a win. The Wild are playing at the Oilers. The Oilers are one of the best teams in hockey. That should be a pretty good matchup there. So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, for sure. Those are 2 workhorses right now. Those are the teams you want to hit your bandwagon to, because those are the teams that got the most realistic shot of the men's teams, obviously, of the most realistic shot to bring home a title. Meanwhile, the Lynx are consummately involved in the title picture, and the Minnesota Frost are our 2-time champions, the only team to ever hoist the Walter Cup. So the men just need to catch up to the women.
That's right. We all can catch up to the bikers that are out there.
Yeah.
They're rolling through the Cedar Lake LRT Regional Trail. It's reopened now, and we got somebody from Bike MN here to talk about this new trail. This is exciting.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm super excited to hear about it, and how many people are out there on this trail right now in this kind of weather.
Couldn't be me, but maybe you. And
yeah. I'm out there in the snow, the rain, sleet, all of it, brother.
I tip my hat. More from Bike Minnesota coming up next. afternoon shift. Maxx, honestly, of all the people that I know in Minnesota, I think you are the biggest bicycle champion of all the people I know.
Absolutely. Well, it's primarily because I don't have a driver's license. So it's the main way that I get around. But absolutely, I love cycling. Like I said before, it makes me feel like a little kid again, man. I feel I get a little taste of freedom every time I get on my old bike.
I dig it. And there's a brand new trail that just reopened for the first time in 6 years, the Cedar Lake LRT Regional Trail all across Hennepin County. You can take it around and go everywhere.
Yeah, Minnesota is one of the best places for cyclists in the entire country.
That's right. Here to tell us more is Bike Minnesota's communications manager, Mr. Erik Noonan. Erik, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Did you ride your bike here today, by the way?
I did not. No, your office was not convenient to mine, but at some point would love to see that connection made.
No doubt. Can you tell us more about this reopened trail here?
Yeah. So the Cedar Lake Trail. So there's actually two different Cedar Lake trails. There's a north and south, and the north one just reopened. And so for folks who are familiar with that takes you all the way from Hopkins, and it'll take you to the target field.
Wow.
And that being reopened, that was that loop, the North and South Cedar Lake Trail, historically was one of the most popular loop routes in the entire metro, and it's been closed for a long time. Different portions of it, different portions at different times, and it's been for a number of reasons, but primarily the addition of the Southwest light rail, and having that be reopened, a lot of people are really excited. I had a chance last weekend. It's amazing to think, looking outside right now, that last weekend I biked it in a T-shirt, but that was the whole loop, and it's just incredible. It's one of those things too where it is a remarkable trail, and you're on that thing, you're like, wow, this is not even one of the best trails in the metro because of how good bike infrastructure is here. So really, really wonderful to have that back.
Cool. What is your favorite bike trail?
Probably the Minnehaha for me, and I think that's it's one of those really wonderful places in the metro where it's you don't feel like you're in a city. You feel like you could be anywhere because you're surrounded by nature, and that's I think one of the things that really makes the Twin Cities so special.
Yeah, you bring up the fact that this is one of the best bike-friendly cities, not just in the United States, but the world. Why do you think that that's the case?
Well, I think that's a combination of things. And we often refer, Minneapolis is great, but really it's a metro-wide system. And that's such a special thing that we have here in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities. And it's a result of so many things. It is a result of a love of the outdoors that has just been instilled forever, in the people who live here. And it's been a result of some really smart strategic investments that have allowed for a lot of these old rail lines to be converted into these regional trails that do connect. Again, the Cedar Lake Trail goes through multiple suburbs. It connects up to multiple other regional trail systems. And I was just talking earlier that you can get from Stillwater all the way to Excelsior almost exclusively on off-street trails, and that's incredible. Wow. There's that's one of those things that when we bring in folks from other parts of the country, they're just blown away by that. And the fact that we have that here is just wonderful.
Yeah. What is the longest you've ever biked?
Distance-wise. Well, actually, it was coming back from Stillwater. I got really lost in St. Paul a couple summers ago, and I don't actually know how long it was because my bike computer died at mile 120 or something coming back to Hopkins. Yeah.
Overloaded it. That's how long it was.
Is this like a GPS system, a bike computer?
Yeah. It's got a GPS on it. It clearly wasn't working for me that day, but it's also it tells you cadence and some other information that helps you. I don't know. get a little too in the weeds with how you're doing yourself, but.
I would get lost out there. Yeah. People are out there. I feel like they're just going and they feel like they know their ways. I don't.
For sure. Yeah. And they're going in rain, sleet, snow, whatever. I'm sure you're out there in the snow as well sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. What do people need to know if someone's going out there to go bike in the snow?
Yeah.
And the snow kill their vibe. What do they need to know?
First, it's still going to be fun. You're going to have to, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to take those turns a little less sharp than you probably would because you're a little bit more concerned about your traction. And there's some gear that'll make it easier. I in college biked some, and I didn't have anything. I had an old beater of a mountain bike that I think if I remember right, got stolen as a neighbor or a roommate borrowed it and forgot to lock it up well. But you've got really it's keeping your extremities warm enough so that's fingers, toes, your face, and there's lots of good information on our website too if folks want to know more. But it's one of those things that once you get started, you're going to be a little bit cold at the beginning, and then once your body's making heat for you, and once you get started, you're going to be comfortable. And it really is for folks who have gone Nordic skiing or downhill skiing. The feeling of being out there on fresh powder is the same. It just feels incredible.
Yeah, you talk about keeping your extremities warm. Are the trails actually maintained? Are they plowed and everything?
Yeah, and that's something that Minneapolis especially has done a really wonderful job of prioritizing that trail access, because there 5% of the entire city is getting around by those routes, and really it's so much less the weather. It's so much less a lot of, the safety perception around cars is definitely a factor, but it's really, when it comes down to it, it's what is the infrastructure like? Are you separated from those cars, and are those trails being maintained? And that's something that Minneapolis has really been a national champion at, and I think a lot of the rest of the metro is really taking note and kind of upping their game on that, because we have so much to gain from getting more people out there, more active in their community in a way that supports local businesses and keeps us all healthier.
Now, obviously, we're throwing flowers at Minnesota's feet here about how good we are. We're patting ourselves on the back. We're the best, cycling place. We can always get better, right? Like, what's next? What's coming next?
Yeah, kind of to that point, there's a friend of mine, Anthony Taylor, who's kind of a really well known within the biking community here in Minnesota. He's got this line about just like, we can't be running victory laps at 5%, right? we know we can do better, and that's Minneapolis recently kind of ended up on a list of one of the best bike cities, not just in the U.S. but internationally. That people are looking at us and saying, hey, in this climate, especially, that we're doing the kind of things that we're doing is remarkable. And some of the really amazing stuff that Minneapolis is championing on that. It was a huge thing a few years ago when they lowered all the speed limits in the city down to a speed that both keeps drivers safe, but also is a lot more survivable in the rare but very unfortunate instance where you might get hit by a driver. But what that's meant is that we don't have to have those lanes be as wide, because when you're driving a little bit slower, it's easier to keep control. And we've been able to allocate that space towards other things. So that's been for businesses that they can have that outdoor dining that we had, really came to love a few years ago. And that's traffic calming is the term in the industry. But that really, it's allowing us to work towards that goal of what if we had a city where it was safe for everybody, regardless of if they don't have a driver's license, they do have a driver's, maybe they don't have driving's not an option for them. How are they getting around? How are they able to participate in our community? And saying, hey, they should be safe doing that. And so we've seen a lot of curb bump outs where they kind of take some concrete and add that, so to make sure that when drivers do come up to those intersections that they're keeping everyone safe, including themselves, and then those trail investments. And I think that as we are nearing the end finally of the light rail construction, that we're getting to see not just the Cedar Lake Trail North open, but this past year we saw the south section open, and it's better. There are no at grade crossings, so every single street that you interact with, you're going under that thing, and you're not having to look both ways because you're underneath the traffic. And even beyond that, we now have the Kenilworth corridor just north of the Cedar Lake is reopening as well, and that's just the spaces that is unlocking for more of our community is amazing.
Yeah, and you guys are doing amazing work at Bike MN, and no state loves being named number one, quite like the land of 10,000 lakes.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
You might call us flyover country, but we're number one bike over country.
Number one bike. Number
How
one.
about that?
Number one.
Take that.
Hands
New York ain't on that list. LA ain't on that list.
Yeah.
Take that.
Yes. They bike with the palm trees in December in LA. No, I'm joking. Erik, we really appreciate your time. You're Bike MN's communications manager. You do a heck of a job for PR for them.
Yeah,
so,
thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
More to come from the afternoon shift after this. Welcome back to the afternoon shift. Max, sometimes we have some more difficult, more intricate conversations here on the show. I think today's no different.
Do we have to talk about the Vikings game? Seriously, I thought I avoided that by being gone yesterday.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it. Max Brosmer.
Not quite Max Brosmer
Okay,
in the Vikings. This is a subject matter that I certainly don't have much experience with. I know you've got some experience with it. It's all about pregnancy we're talking about today.
Are you?
I am not pregnant. Everybody at home, I am not pregnant. I am not pregnant.
I've been waiting for this day. You're gonna name it after me.
No. Listen, I can't claim to have anything like that. We do have somebody here that is pregnant. You probably know her from the Fox 9 Morning News. She's an anchor, Hannah Flood. Welcome to the afternoon shift.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Good afternoon.
Yes. It's your afternoon shift debut. This is amazing.
I know. This is exciting. I love the studio. Thank you for inviting me. Had to wear my mama sweatshirt.
Yeah, represent. In case we didn't know.
Yeah. Well, should I do this too, just to start off?
I'm
not lying.
You gotta flex a
Okay.
little. Flex the belly a little
See it?
bit.
See it? Okay.
Very nice, Hannah.
Okay, Hannah, I
Thanks.
got a question for you first. I got to start this
Whoa,
off.
starting off hot. Okay.
Yeah, starting off hot. We got to ask the questions that people want. This is the #1 most requested question.
Okay.
Where does the stork factor into all of this? Like, I went through this before, and I still don't know, like, where the stork
Like, how do they get my
factor is.
address? Like, how did they find me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, where does the stork brings the babies
brings the
and
baby,
whatnot.
right,
Like, I still don't understand how
It
that
sounds like you're
works.
just like up to date. You know what's happening with the stork. Yeah.
There's a lot of difficult questions to ask.
Yeah.
The stork included. We wanted to have a conversation to ask all of the difficult questions as it regards to pregnancy.
Yeah, and I told you I'm ready to take it on. You asked me the other day, you were like, what are you an expert in? I was like, nothing, but I am going through this right now, and so I'm happy to talk about it. And we were like, well, it's one of those things that not everybody's comfortable talking about. We don't hear a lot of conversation about it. We literally all come from this process, so why not talk about it? And I think it's hard because judgment, people are so judgy and have so many opinions about pregnancy, this, and everything. And then, of course, infertility, pregnancy loss, things like that. It makes it really hard. So let's try to open up the conversation a little bit, educate folks a little bit.
Going off the back of that, what is kind of like the etiquette if someone is just like having a conversation with you? What is like the etiquette for asking about the pregnancy, just in like a conversational setting?
I don't know. I think it's best to, the rule, you never assume that a woman is pregnant.
Right.
Even then, I think when they're this big, you just never assume. Just play on the safe side.
Ask.
I think if someone is trying to get pregnant or is pregnant, they will tell you if they want to talk about it. I think it's really hard when we're talking about infertility and pregnancy loss, right? Because those can be really emotional conversations. And I even learned, so this is my second, by the way. I have a 2-year-old at home, so shout out to Millie. This is my second, and I remember I learned with my first, we had an easy time getting pregnant, and I would tell people that, and sometimes people's faces would fall, especially other women that I would tell that are dealing with infertility, and it was like, oh. And then I kind of like understood as I was going through the process. I was like, imagine trying and not being able to, and then you have to wait a whole nother month before you can try again and all of that. So I think just being respectful and kind of cautious about it, but then you run across, I think a lot of times women like me who are like, this is kind of awesome. Like, I love to share. I love to talk about it.
Yeah.
And be there for other women, too, who want to talk about it. So that'd be my advice. Always let the person trying or the person who's pregnant take the lead. And just be a good listener.
You mentioned that this is your second. Are you a little nervous with the second coming because the first Millie she's got all of your attention and your whole world, and now you have a second you're bringing into the world. Like, is that tough? Do you think it's tough for Millie? Did she know that the attention might not be all there with her coming up soon?
I think it's a lot different. Max and I were talking about this earlier. I have informed fear was the term that Maxx coined that I like. I'm like a little more nervous because I know what's coming. When you don't know what's coming, it's a different kind of nervous, right? The fear of the unknown. Now it's the fear of the known. Right. Like, I know what is coming. But in a lot of ways, there's a lack of fear because you're like, I know it's awesome. I know that we can do it. I know that we've done it before. But the second thing is the thing that makes me the most nervous. How am I going to like split my attention, split my time? I'm fortunate that my daughter's really interested. Like, she's really excited. Like, she loves to talk about baby sister. It's a girl, by the way. She loves to talk about baby sister.
Is that breaking news? Did we just
That isn't
that news?
That's been known.
Oh.
Oh.
We thought we had an exclusive
we
on
had
the
an
afternoon
exclusive.
show.
Yeah.
I know. Everyone's like, "Are you going to reveal her name exclusively on the afternoon shift?"
Oh.
We don't know. We don't know her name. We're having. That's the hardest thing with the second. We used our favorite name on the first. In fact, we used it for the first and the middle name, and now we're like, "Well,
What
dang
do
it,
we
we
do?
weren't expecting another girl." Now what do we pick? Oh my gosh, it's been the hardest thing. But yeah, I'm a little nervous about the two and splitting my attention. But you know what? People do it all the time, and I keep like thinking about, you know. All the women that came before me, my ancestors and things. My grandma had 6 kids. It's like, oh, people do it. They figure it out. We'll figure it out. Hopefully.
But it's a journey. Just like being pregnant again is a whole different kind of journey, though. Because I think a lot of people don't understand that it's totally different. There's no like playbook like, okay, I went through this and that, and this is the first time I'm going to go through this and that, and this is the second time, right? It's gotta
totally.
be a totally different experience. Like, what has been the difference, the main difference this time around?
The main
compared to
difference is
first?
I've been so sick. And my morning sickness lasted for a really long time. I mean, like well into the second trimester. So pregnancy split up right into trimesters, into basically these like 3 parts. And usually in your first trimester, you're just like really tired, you're really hungry, and you can be sick a lot in the morning. And you guys, I had so many mornings. I actually posted a video on my Instagram when somebody asked, what did you do if you started feeling nauseous at the desk? I literally, you guys, had a garbage can next to me on the anchor desk. And sometimes I'd have to flip my mic off as quick as I could and stick my head in the garbage can. I know. Shout out to my co-anchor, Chanu Her, who went with me, like, and Cody Matz, who's in the and all of our behind the scenes people that had to hear me throw up so many times.
Did it ever happen like on the air? You never.
I don't think it ever got caught on the air, but like I posted a clip where you could see me going like this, and I'm like, Keith, take over for the weather. Yeah.
You would have went viral though. You should have just kind of.
I should have just let it fly.
Just, like,
Just
do
all
it.
over
Yeah,
my
we'll get
co-anchor,
millions of
just
views.
like
Yeah,
all over
right,
him.
yeah,
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh, you'd
Just
be
not on
so
Maxx,
mad.
please. Yeah, not here. Yeah.
Oh, but it
We could
lasted.
we could use a viral moment. So if you do feel like
Okay,
just
if
come
I
and just-
start to feel it come
just-
up, I'm
yeah,
just gonna let
just
it
yak,
let
yeah,
it rip.
everybody,
Okay,
yeah.
and then it's like a whole puke fest.
Yes,
and-
yeah. It'll be
totally.
like that Family Guy.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of fluids here, something I've always wanted to know: what does it mean when somebody says my water is breaking? What does that mean? Like, how does that feel? Like,
Ooh.
what does that mean?
Great question. Okay, let's get into some nitty gritty
Yeah.
med stuff. Not everybody's water breaks.
Okay.
I don't know this.
Usually wait a couple days after to post stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You take it and then you're like, I'm gonna
No,
wait
but,
till
like,
you get some color. You
In
know?
the
like,
moment, you're so proud and you're like so excited that you're like, look at my cute baby, and
Right.
everyone's like getting
Yeah.
the text. They're like, yeah,
Yes.
congratulations.
Adorable.
Is the baby all right?
Right,
You're like,
yeah.
no, they're fine. They're beautiful. And they're, yeah, okay.
Wild. No, what were you about to say? I'm sorry.
No, I think Grace had a. I believe Grace had a
we're
question.
saying we had some viewer questions that are coming in. Grace, you wanna come in here? Oh yes, we are ready for some viewer questions. I think one of them that came up on your Instagram was just the baby. How would it rate if it was a Yelp rating of your womb?
That was my favorite question that I saw somebody send in. Okay, see, I had a little bit of heartburn right there.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's a thing. That's a whole thing. The Yelp review for this baby, I think she would not give me a great review. I'm going to be really honest. I'm going to say maybe like 3 stars out of 5 stars. And that's because, with my first one, it's like got home from work and I would just relax all day and just like order whatever I want for dinner, do whatever. This one, it's like I'm sleeping like 5 hours a night. And I get up for work. I come to work in the middle of the night. Poor girl. And then it's like, here's your coffee. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm running around taking care of a.
I was like, yes, here we go. Here we go.
This is our
I'm
moment.
rooting for it.
This is our
Yeah, I'm
moment.
rooting for it to happen.
Then I'm running around taking care of a toddler all day. She's like crawling all over me in the belly and stuff like that. With your first, you're like, this is so precious. And like, I need 12 hours of sleep a night. No, it's definitely more Motel 6 than Ritz. I would go like maybe like Hilton, like Holiday Inn Express.
Okay.
It's not a Motel 6. This is all right.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-star review.
Yeah, it's like a 3-star review. The first time around, I think Millie got a little bit more spoiled. I think all of the first ones do because it's like that's your only thing you're focusing on.
For sure.
And now it's like I eat like her chicken nugget scraps for dinner and I call it a day.
What are because there's always, the pregnancy cravings. That's one of like the favorite kind of topics everybody has. It can be like super specific, really random out there things. It could be kind of commonplace things, but everybody kind of goes through that. That's like I feel like that's one thing that's universal. Everybody has those cravings. Like what has yours been so far?
And someone asked me online, why do women have these cravings? Like, I don't know the science. I don't know why, but I think like part of it is you're so uncomfortable. I actually brought you guys to show you something of what happens to your organs when you're pregnant. So I especially want Adam to take a look at this of what happens to your stomach specifically. Your stomach gets pushed. Your stomach gets way pushed up under your rib cage, right? And so it's small. So you can't really like enjoy like a big meal necessarily. At least that's been my experience, and I know a lot of other women too, because like there's not a lot of room in there, especially like at this point. I'm at 34 weeks right now, especially at this point. So I think part of it is like you're like I only get like a small meal, so like it better be good. Like it better be good and something that I really want. And then I think there is just like some science of cravings and things like that. For me, Jersey Mike's, like heated, because you're not supposed to have deli meat. So like a Jersey Mike's like heated sandwich is really good.
Do they hand you like a pamphlet when they tell you that you're pregnant of all this stuff you're like not supposed? Like how do you know? Like how do you?
I
is
know.
It just like research? Like,
right.
How the hell does everybody know? Like all this.
I know.
There's so much stuff to keep track of.
What's really wild is that you like. You miss like your first period or whatever, and so you take your pregnancy test. So I think I might be pregnant, or some people think that they might be pregnant. A lot of women just have like intuition. They're like, I think this is happening. Yeah. You take your pregnancy test, it comes out positive. You call the doctor. They don't even want to see you till you're 8 weeks. So they'll be like, okay, well, like we'll see you in a month. And you're like, what am I supposed to do for the next month?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to do for the next month? They're like, be healthy, don't die, don't drink, don't go sit at the bar. Yeah. And then we'll see you in a month.
It's your first test.
Yeah. So that you're kind of like thrown out on your own. But back to the craving thing, I think because you are restricted, you can't have this, you can't have that. You just want to really enjoy what you have. And I had really bad heartburn like this whole time and like nausea. So that's kind of like where my cravings come from. I'm like, what's something that's not going to make me feel sick? Yeah. What's something that's not going to be horrible in case I see it again? You know what I mean? And then the heartburn's so bad. I've been eating a lot of dairy, like ice cream.
Yes.
So like because it's just like kind of cool ice cream, yogurt. Yeah. Now that I have a 2-year-old at home, we always have chocolate milk. I drink so much chocolate milk. So good.
You brought up your doctor. Is it important to kind of have a good relationship with is this an OBGYN doctor? Important to have a good relationship with them? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I had just like certain things that I wanted, and like I think like so many like young healthy people, I didn't have like a person before I got pregnant that I was like going to or whatever. So I kind of had to find someone, and you do some research, and of course first it's are they a network? Right? Who can I go to that's a network? It was important for me for them to be like close to my house because now I'm at the point in pregnancy where I'm going every other week. I have to go in. So it's like, I feel for like, we do these stories in the news about like these rural areas that are lacking OBGYNs and hospitals. Imagine if every 2 weeks you had to drive an hour to get to your doctor. I mean, and then I'll get down to it where I have to go every single week. And then that's just the beginning. Then you want like a good relationship of a doctor who will hear you and be like, this is like what I want out of this experience and how can you help me do that and stuff. So yeah, I think finding the right OB is good. In my experience, there's a lot of really great OBs. I mean, these are people who are really passionate about what they do. Yeah. And what's also so mind-blowing to me about the OBs and like even the nurses that work in the hospital and stuff is like, this is like the biggest day of your life. Yeah. And they're like, there are 30 women in this building doing what you're doing right now, and I come do this day after day after day after day. Right. So there's also like where there's this fear when you're giving birth, like when you get there, a lot of times all the players, the people who are there are so confident and comfortable and know what they're doing that immediately like put me at ease. My nurse's name was Jennifer when I had my first one, and she was like, showed me like her notes app, and she's like, I've delivered like 3,000 babies, so let's pop this one out too. And you're like, oh, okay, right. We can do this.
Feel a lot better,
awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of say a similar thing, a totally different experience, but like if you're like, I went paragliding in Peru, and I was terrified, but then the guy that was like guiding the whole thing, I was so scared the whole day, all day. I woke up. I was just like, oh my God, why am I doing this? And then the guy was so cool, calm and collected that I was just like, all right, cool, I'm gonna live. You know, like
totally.
I'll get through it. It's just like it's important to have that support, you know? Like,
totally.
Kind of like calm demeanor. Because if they were freaking out, then you'd be like, oh my God, then it'd be terrible.
Absolutely. And what a like special skill and like special set of people to have working in this industry that can like keep their cool and make you feel comfortable when you're going and being like, again, this is like the biggest, scariest thing I've done in my life. And they're like, we got you.
We got this.
It's all going to be good.
Any hints on the name of the girl?
We're not there yet. I like I said, I used my name on the first one. Yeah. So we're really conflicted. And my Jennifer, Brittany, Tiffany.
I
like
That's
Tiffany.
a good one. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with these names. You just don't hear them that much. And I like old names of like the 1920s.
Oh. Gertrude.
Yeah, like
Eleanor.
Beatrice and call her B. I think that's
that'd be
so
amazing.
like
that.
See,
B. Arthur.
Yeah, and he's like, no. What about Rebecca? I'm like, I don't know.
You know, Maxx and I, one of our favorite guests on the afternoon shift, her name is Tina. Isn't that one of the 90s names that you just?
Yeah, like Christina.
Oh, Tiffany. Yeah.
Tiffany.
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing wrong with those names.
Maxine. You know, just folding that out
Maxine.
there.
I do like Max. I think that's
a good.
It's a cute name for a girl.
I like Maxine.
Yeah,
it's
I
old
think
school.
I think it works.
Adam for a girl. We'd have to work on it a little bit.
Amanda.
Oh, is Amanda is that?
I think so.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
I think so.
That's
I was supposed to be Andrew, and then I came out, and then I was Adam. Which I think that's a common with a lot of mothers. I think that they have a name in mind, but then when the baby comes out,
Totally.
they see it, and they're
sure.
like, Jennifer. You know?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I was telling Hannah, we're so lucky that because I was 19 when I had my daughter. I had the stupidest names possible, ready to go, locked and loaded. Yeah. Her mother was like, absolutely not, and I'm glad we picked the name that we picked because she is Rowan. You know, she's Rowan.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we got a lot more questions though, Adam.
Right.
Hannah, you got some more time?
I've got
for
time
for some more questions.
I'm just
I
waiting
got
for this baby to cook. I got time. I got like 6 weeks. So.
We'll go to break, and we'll have more questions for Hannah Flood here after the breakup. And Maxx, maybe we can hear some of your stories of your own.
I don't know. No. See, listen. No, I don't want to mansplain pregnancy. That's the last
Hannah,
thing
this is what's
in
gonna
the
happen.
world that I want to mansplain. But I know the viewers have a lot of questions too, so we'll get some viewer questions in there. And I don't know. I know you got plenty of questions, Adam, because you know you're expecting. I'm glad you're breaking the news at the beginning of the show.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
We're so happy for you.
Yes.
And you know, I'll ask the questions for you because I know you're a little nervous about the journey. So I'll ask the questions that you told me not to.
Perfect.
You know, I know we said we wouldn't do this on the air, but yeah, I'll ask the questions for you.
We got afternoon shifts exclusives left and right going on right now. Stay with us, and we'll be back with Hannah Flood right after this. flood. Max, do you know what a placenta is?
I absolutely know what a placenta is, brother.
I do not. I do not know what a placenta is.
We've started off segments. You've asked me
Listen.
a lot of questions over these 150
Yeah.
plus episodes.
Yeah.
You've never once
Yeah.
said, Max, I never thought you were going to say, do you know what a placenta is?
I truthfully have no idea what that is.
You've never heard even
I've
the
never
word?
heard of that term before. A placenta?
Really?
I've heard of placebo effect, but a placenta, no.
See, this
I've heard
is
of
why I'm
polenta.
here.
That's a food.
Tim
Polenta.
Polenti.
Yeah, Tim Polenti.
Paella,
Yeah,
delicious.
yeah.
Yeah, this is very different.
This is
This is
different.
very different. This is why I'm here, though.
Right,
I'm
right.
informing the world
Yeah.
about this stuff. Okay, so a placenta is literally an organ that you grow during pregnancy, and it's what the umbilical cord is attached to.
Oh,
So one end is on baby's belly button.
yeah.
You know that about belly buttons,
Right.
umbilical cords.
I think so,
Of
yeah.
that. Okay. The other end is attached to the placenta, and that acts as like a filter.
So when the
Two
baby comes
things.
out, it's attached to you? Like through this cord?
Oh gosh.
Is
Should
it,
we
like,
tell
I'm
him,
just
Max?
saying,
Should we
I'm
tell
just
him?
asking, like, if there's a cord, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
they snip it and then you just got this piece of string or
Yes.
skin or whatever, organ? I'm not joking. I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know. Like, that's what happens? Like, there's just this, like,
Oh
skin?
my gosh, this is a streaming show. I wish we could just show like a very graphic video of exactly what
It
happens.
seems disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baby comes out. They if everything's all good, you had to pull they're like, I can't do that. I gotta fidget. Baby comes out. If all is well, they hand it to you. You put it on your chest. You're like, oh, this is the best. She's still connected to the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is then connected to the placenta,
Okay.
which is in there. You cut the cord after a little while. Usually it's called like the golden hour or whatever. You let it stay there for a while.
Dads, it's usually an honor given to
Dads usually get the honor.
If they're around, if they want to do so, I cut the cord.
Oh,
Cut
you-
the umbilical cord.
If
for
you're
my
there and haven't fainted yet, then you get to cut the cord. Before they hand you the scissors, they make sure you're okay.
You're okay,
You're not
you're
gonna go
good.
down.
So,
Right.
so this is like is this like circumcision too?
No.
It's different.
This is very
Very
different.
different. Very
Very
different.
different. I guess. No.
I know you're not dealing with that,
It's
so
very
yeah,
different.
yeah,
But then you have to essentially give birth to the placenta, which is
So that also comes out.
so then that also comes out, and for some people it can be a lot more complicated. Some people it's a lot easier. Sometimes I just reach in. Yeah, it's
You'll be
horrible.
excited to know that there is also a trend. Some people eat these.
No.
Yeah. No, it's a thing.
Not in the United States.
Yes.
No. no
There are
no, no, no,
services
yes.
that you can get it sent somewhere, and they will turn it into pills that then you can consume.
For what is there like dietary purposes or nutritional value? Or?
Yes.
I thought this was something like you fry up, and this is like
No,
not
no,
in the
people
US.
do that.
Yeah.
No,
Really?
people
Yeah,
do, and it's like,
Didn't
it's
one of
like
the Kardashians
big.
do it? I think one of the Kardashians.
It's like kind of big. It's kind of like this big, and it looks kind of like I like what a liver would look like. I think kind of like red and like shiny, and
And people eat it like a
Yeah.
meal.
I
not
wouldn't say it's
common,
common.
But it
I
does
wouldn't say it's
happen. I
common.
just wanted to see your reaction.
Interesting.
It does happen though.
That's a first world country thing that people eat that.
yes,
Okay.
it happens
All
in the
right.
United States. There's people you know.
Over
There's
many
people that you have met that
Yes.
you shook
Not my
hands
mom.
with.
Not my mom.
No.
Not my mom.
People you
over
know.
many centuries and cultures, kind of like the idea of like the warrior eats like the heart of the buffalo or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a common thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not.
It's not for me.
Yeah. I might adopt.
I won't be doing that.
All of this.
But the placenta is a thing, and it's an organ that literally you grow when you're pregnant, which is like also pretty impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The more you know.
The more I know.
Pregnancy 101.
Are you impressed yet? He's like, yeah,
I
I
am.
don't know.
I am. I'm just glad I don't have to go through it. So, yeah.
It's a journey.
Hannah, we're not the only ones that have questions. Our viewers out there have lots of questions for you. I think you solicited some on IG,
did.
on the old IG.
I did. Let's see what's coming up first. What are you least looking forward to?
Ooh, what a Debbie Downer.
What's gonna suck? I mean, like
Yeah,
what
what's
part?
what's gonna
What
suck?
part?
Yeah.
What am I least looking forward to?
I mean, all the prep
Labor.
stuff. Yeah, right? I mean, it's like a lot of prep, like getting it all ready to go. Like, you got to bring all the stuff to the hospital, and you got to do, that's going to be,
We were
Kinda
pretty
stressful,
chill with
right?
bringing stuff
Yeah.
to the hospital. We eventually brought the Apple TV to the hospital
nice.
because we were sick of. Oh my gosh, this is okay. Let me tell you a funny story about the first one. I'm in the throes of the worst of labor around 5 o'clock in the morning last time, and the nurses and doctors, they didn't really like know what I did, right? I didn't like advertise it, right? Yeah. And my husband like mentioned something at some point. And you're like, oh my God, you're an anchor at Fox 9? What time do you usually anchor? You guys, I'm like, and I was like, 4:30 to 6. That's right, 4:30 to 6. Every weekday morning, check us out. And they're like, oh my gosh, do you want to watch your friends? They're on right now.
No.
I was like, no, I don't. They're like, oh, look, Cody Matz is giving a forecast. I'm like, turn it off. So that was pretty funny. But then after a while, we're like, we just want like a Harry Potter marathon. Like, go get that Apple TV. Let's hook it up here and do some Netflixing while we're in the hospital. I would say just like the birth part. And we were talking before, Max, about this informed fear. Yeah. And with the second, again, there's like a lot more on the line. So I think I'm a little more nervous about like, I'll be thinking about like, is Millie okay? When can I get back to her and all of that when I'm giving birth with this one? And then there's a whole, I won't get into it, but like the whole breastfeeding journey. Yeah. There's that, which is like a little nerve-wracking.
For sure.
But I'm actually looking forward to the newborn thing. I don't know if it's because of like this shift that I work these like crazy hours and I'm used to not getting a lot of sleep or getting a little sleep and then taking a nap or whatever. The newborn stage is not as scary to me this time, which like knock on wood, she's not like a colicky baby or something. Yeah. But there is something about just kind of like being home and you just know that like nothing else matters right now. Like this is your priority. And so it's a little different than like everyday motherhood where you're like, okay, well, like what's happening at work and like who's counting me for this and that. Like when you have a newborn, the expectation is like you hunker down and you do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that part I'm actually like excited about. And it's going to be in January, so it's just going to be like
perfect time to just
cold. I know it's just like sit and veg out. Yeah.
Right.
That part I'm not afraid of. That's going to be nice.
Amazing. Let's get another viewer question here. That was Rika. Here's Jason. Why does every pregnant lady do the baby bump hold in every photo, but not real life?
Okay, let me explain what he's talking about. If you go to my Instagram, it's every picture on my Instagram right now. It's the baby bump hold, right?
You gotta flex it. Yeah, you gotta show it off.
It looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why a lot of women do the baby bump hold in the picture. And also because if you don't, you're like, this isn't my body.
Yeah, right.
This is.
Yeah.
So you want to like show it off a little bit or really. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't by the microphone. Could you hear me? Okay. You want to show it off a little bit and you're like proud of your body like at that point. I would argue though, I'm like always doing the pregnant lady hold. Like on TV, not so much because I'm being professional, but I always have a hand on my belly. I feel like I'm always like I'm feeling right now. I can feel something. I don't know what, but like something right here.
Yeah.
I'm always holding this belly.
So, right.
I don't know, but there is like a sense of pride. I mean, like, so like it's different for every woman. Some are like, oh, like this body doesn't feel like mine. It feels uncomfortable. I'm like,
work it.
I wear like tighter clothes now because I'm like,
gotta show
yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that. Like, how did it change your fashion? Does it change your fashion at all? Like, I mean, obviously it changes the clothes the literal clothes that you
literally,
wear.
yeah.
But like your fashion sense. Do you still feel like you have your same fashion sense that you had before you were pregnant?
I think this actually, Lauren and Drago had asked me this question. She was like, is it nice to not have to like suck it in for pictures? Because like, ladies know if you're wearing like a tight dress and you see like a little bump or a little bulge of something that you don't like, you may be like a little self-conscious about it. Now it's like it is about the bulge. It is about the bump. Right. So I'm like, yeah. Or I remember last time I was pregnant, it was my 30th birthday in July, and I was like showing really cute. I like I like invited people over for a pool party and was like wearing my bikini, and I was like letting anybody like I was like posting pictures of me in like a bikini. That is not me when I'm not pregnant. But I'm like so proud of the big belly that there's like this different, for me at least, it's been this different sense of like pride or confidence in your body because you're like, it's supposed to look like this. I'm supposed to have this big belly. Yeah. And you're proud of it.
Nothing wrong with a good bold shot every now and then.
No, you say that all the time.
Yeah, that's
you live by that. Yeah, you live by that. Yeah.
On Instagram, I'm pretty sure that's your bio.
It's yes. We'll leave it at that. I think.
What's hard though, and has been like inspiring for me is like, obviously I work like this job that's hard because like I need clothes for work. I mean, like everybody needs clothes for work. Yeah. I guess not everybody needs clothes for work. True. There are some people that don't wear clothes for work.
I've worked in those places.
But I have no doubt. But the fact that like you're expected as a woman then is like part of this whole process. If it's not enough like going through the body changes and you're exhausted and you're throwing up and you need to get the crib and you need to get this and that. Now all of a sudden none of your clothes fit, but you still are expected to go to work and a lot of times like maintain a certain look, business professional, whatever it is. You got to buy a whole new wardrobe. It's really hard.
It's expensive too.
This
right?
might be
It's
a dumb question.
expensive.
Do you have to change are there certain makeups that are hazardous at all?
Not in my experience.
Okay,
Not in
yeah.
my experience. You can't get Botox. You're not supposed to use like collagen products.
No Botox.
No Botox. No more Botox.
Some like collagen products, like if you're using like really intense like face care and stuff like that. No, but your face like can change. Like the other day, somebody asked if I got a little lip filler
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're like,
because the hormones. Look at that. I do kind of like that look. The hormones, or like your nose can change a lot. My co-anchor Kelly O'Connell showed me a picture of right before she gave birth to one of her kids. I was like, who is that? Like, no, truly, like her nose had totally changed shapes and then it went back. And it's just because of hormones, like a bunch of stuff like that changes.
Incredible. I think we had one more question, the Warren and Drago question. Did we get that on the screen?
yeah,
yet?
we did.
Yeah.
We did get that up.
We got
did
it
get
up.
that
We got it up.
So
yeah.
things change throughout pregnancy, but one thing that'll never change is you being Hannah
Wow.
Flood.
Thanks.
And you
Thanks.
being the co-anchor of the morning show, right?
Yeah, tune in and watch us 4:30 to 6 a.m. Maybe you'll get a barf on air. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah. I'm really disappointed.
You
we
wanted
didn't
it
get
here.
one. I wanted it here. We got to go viral.
I had a couple
There were some moments.
questionable heartburn moments. Yeah. But thank you guys. And I hope that this was educational,
Yeah.
informative, whether if you're thinking like, ooh, do I want to go through this journey or
Right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we still got time.
okay, I'm good.
No, Hannah, thank you so much, and congratulations to you. I know it's coming up next month for you, so
Yep.
that's got to be super exciting. And we're looking forward to seeing you on your journey on the Fox Eye Morning News as you continue with this pregnancy.
I can't wait to FaceTime you from the hospital and show you my placenta. Oh my gosh.
Before
Yes.
we grill it up and eat it.
Yeah, we'll have another food
Hey,
segment here on the
Cook out at my house.
Yeah.
Come on by.
Me, you, baby Maxine, and Hannah. Let's
Placenta
go.
paella. Okay.
You're cooking something there.
I'm really rooting for Maxine to be the name. I really am.
I like
For
it.
the record, I
I'll
like
run it by the fam and see
do
how
it.
it goes. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, Hannah. We'll have more to come from the afternoon shift right after this. afternoon shift, Max. This is a story we've been talking about from the top, and we're going to continue to talk about it. This federal authorities are planning targeting an immigration enforcement operation here in Minnesota, really targeting Somali immigrants.
Yeah, and we tried to answer questions as best we can, talking to Fox 9's own Paul Blume at the beginning of the show. You can check that out on our live stream or when we post the full episode, but why not hear from the people themselves that are in the know, the politicians and the who's who of Minneapolis and Minnesota.
That's right. Here's Mayor Jacob Frey on this developing situation.
Good afternoon. My name is Jacob Frey. I'm the mayor of Minneapolis, and we are here to respond to a number of credible reports from several media outlets relaying that there are as many as 100 federal agents that will be deployed to the Twin Cities with a specific focus on targeting our Somali community. To our Somali community, we love you and we stand with you. That commitment is rock solid. Minneapolis is proud to be home to the largest Somali community in the entire country. They've been here for decades in many instances. They're entrepreneurs and fathers. They benefit both the culture and the economic resilience of our city. Targeting Somali people means that due process will be violated. Mistakes will be made. And let's be clear, it means that American citizens will be detained for no other reason than the fact that they look like they are Somali. That is not now and will never be a legitimate reason. For decades, the Somali community has added greatly to our city. The economic fabric, their hard work, their leadership, it has made Minneapolis a better place. We are not given advance notice or inside information about these kinds of operations. But here's what we can promise. We will not compromise our values here in Minneapolis. Our values and our commitment to the Somali community, to every community of immigrants and people in our city, is rock solid and will be unwavering. Our police, many of whom are Somali themselves, are trusted partners in keeping people safe. They will not collaborate with any federal agency around doing immigration enforcement work. Our city staff and our law enforcement will not ask the question as to whether an individual is documented or not. And by the way, there are more than 80,000 Somali people living in Minnesota. Almost all of them are both documented and citizens. And the city has worked with community partners who have compiled Know Your Rights information. And so here's what we know. You have the right to remain silent, and you have the right to a lawyer. You can refuse to sign documents until that lawyer is present. You have the right to not open the door unless a warrant has been shown. The city of Minneapolis provides free immigration legal resources. And if you or a family member or a loved one needs access to a lawyer, go to our website or call 311. And we're going to work with our partners. Partners like the city of St. Paul, partners like the state of Minnesota, to do everything to support our neighbors and to coordinate on any incident that happens. Obviously, this is a frightening moment for our Somali community. There have been many frightening moments over the last several months to our immigrant communities in Minneapolis. In Minneapolis, our diversity is diverse. People come from 1,000 different backgrounds, mentalities, and perspectives with one beautiful thing in common. They love our city and they're proud to call it home. And we're going to stand with them every step of the way. But we need to also be demanding better from an administration who is intent on targeting people and committing so much time, energy, and money to terrorizing certain groups within our community. That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somaliyed Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Ku Janilahai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan. We love you. We stand with you, and we aren't backing down. With that, I will turn it over to the Mayor of St. Paul, Mayor Melvin Carter.
Good afternoon. I'm Melvin Carter, the Mayor of the City of St. Paul. As Mayor Frey just said, we are hearing credible information around a convergence of federal law enforcement officials, federal agents coming into our community with the intentionality around targeting our Somali community. Just earlier today, we saw, sadly, the President of the United States open his mouth to take a whole group of people, a whole country of people, and denigrate just based on where they come from. And somehow we found ourselves to a place where that doesn't surprise any of us. But when the mayor said the word un-American, it rang true to me. I grew up celebrating in America and learning about an America who prided ourselves on being a beacon that drew people from other places. I grew up in an America that prided itself on being a country of immigrants, that prided itself on the fact that people from other countries would look across a whole ocean and say, that's where I want to be. It seems that what we learned was that we've prided ourselves, and we have decades and generations of priding ourselves on being a beacon for immigration from Europe. I mean, it seems to many of us like the darker skinned the immigrants who come to our country are, the more our posture on immigration as a country has shifted. That's un-American. That's concerning. And I get particularly concerned as someone who, we work all day, every day on public safety and keeping our communities safe. And all of you have heard me brag about the public safety outcomes that we're achieving and that we're really proud of. And we've understood and embraced an approach to public safety that isn't about pitting our officers or law enforcement against community members, but it's figuring out how to get our officers and our community members working together on the same side of the table as much as humanly possible. And so when the last thing that we need is federal agents coming here, pretending that we should be afraid of somebody just based on the color of their skin, just based on what they look like, just based on what country their ancestors claim as honor as a motherland. The last thing that we need is federal agents coming to town attempting to turn us against each other, to turn us against ourselves. The last thing we need is federal agents coming in town to create chaos and challenge for us. And so we stand together. Both of our cities have stood up immigrant and refugee services supports. In St. Paul, it's our Office of Immigrant and Refugee Services. In our city attorney's office, we encourage folks to look to those websites. We encourage folks to look to the organizations that serve immigrants and refugees across our community, because we have constant reminders out there about what your rights are. You have rights. That's an American thing. You have rights. We all have rights. And so we'll be sharing on social media today some of those, what those resources are that people need to look to. We'll be working with our police department to ensure our capability of facilitating peaceful protests, as I imagine we'll see some people who will want to stand up and say that we disagree with this federal targeting. And just like Mayor Frey just said, we in St. Paul celebrate our large Somali community. We celebrate the contributions that our community has made in every aspect, whether that's education, whether that's public service, whether that's public safety, whether that's our economics and local jobs. We celebrate that. Our community would not be the same without it. And so we continue to stand with the members of our Somali community. We continue to stand across municipal boundaries and across communities to say that the Twin Cities is not a place that tolerates or embraces hate, to say that the hateful and damaging rhetoric that we're hearing from Washington, D.C. right now is reprehensible, and it is not something that represents who our community is or who our country can be. And we call on ourselves. I call on myself in the face of hatred, in the face of division, in the face of what seems to be a strategy centered around intentional chaos, to lead with listening, to lead with compassion, to engage with humanity, and to ensure that we are every single day modeling the type of behavior, the type of approach, and the type of humanity that we sure wish our federal representatives in Washington, D.C. would follow suit. We have the capacity as a local community to be that loving, incredible place. That's who we are. That's what we are. And that's certainly something that we don't need federal agents coming and disturbing. Thank you all for being here. And with that, I think I'm turning over to Councilmember Osman. Oh, I'm sorry, to Councilmember Osman.
Thank you.
Good to see you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamal Osman. I am the council member of Ward 6, someone who represents the largest East African community in Minneapolis. I am proud to say I'm a Somali American. This country welcomed me and my family 26 years ago. It has provided me a life that I did not have in Somalia. We came here and we are thankful to be here. I've been educated here, got the opportunity to serve my community, to be a council member. I know many families are fearful tonight. They are. But I want you to know that City of Minneapolis stand behind you as the leaders, both mayors and the chief and everyone that stand behind you are here to stand with you. Our community has lived through fear in the past. And we're not going to let us divide that. We're going to stay informed, we're going to stay safe, and we're going to support each other. We will continue to working our partners on the ground so residents know their rights. They know where to turn for help, and we know that Minneapolis will not abandon. One of the things I do want to say, and obviously everyone knows that our president is racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and we are going to fight that. America has a history of fighting and stopping those kind of individuals who continue to divide people and divide communities. Many Somalis that live in this community are working at your groceries, working at your hospitals, delivering your babies, they're doctors. They are very successful individuals. Now I would like to switch into Somali to speak to my community. Assalamu alaikum. Walaalayaal, waxaan la hadlayaa community-ga magaalada Minneapolis. Anigoo ah Jamal Usman. Waxaan inii sheegayaa City Minneapolis garabkiina ay taagan tahay. Community-geena target ayaa lagu yahay. Qolyahan dalka soo galaya oo la sheegay hadda in 100 qof ka badan lagu soo wado. Waa inaan ka fijignaanaa. Waa inaan la hadashaa lawyer-kaaga. Waa inaan ogaataa rights-kaaga. United States rights ayaa ku leedahay. Waa inaan division aan la ku suubinin. Xaquuq baa u leedahay due process baa jira dalkan aan joogno. Marka taxadara City Minneapolisna waa in la taaganta garabkeena taaganta. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome the Chief O'Hare.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian O'Hara, B-R-I-A-N, O''H-A-R-A. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. I know the recent reports that are circulating among the media are concerning. I just want to be clear. We are not confirming anything that has been in any of these reports, and we don't have any official information ourselves. What we are aware of is what has been happening in our community. And our involvement, the mayor's leadership on that, council members and other elected officials in the city did not start today. That's been going on. The fear that the community has been experiencing, immigrant communities have been experiencing in this city is real. I have been meeting with pastors, imams, business owners that are having a real impact in our city. People are afraid to go to church. They're afraid to go to worship. They're not spending money at a lot of our immigrant businesses in the city. And from a public safety perspective, the fear of people to cause the police is something that to call the police in a time of need is something that harms everyone. We don't need that. If people are able to prey on certain people in our community, to victimize them, to rob them, because they think those folks are less likely to call the police, that makes everyone in the city less safe. It does absolutely nothing for public safety. So I just need to be clear, as our mayor has stated, the Minneapolis Police Department does not work with federal law enforcement for the purpose of conducting immigration enforcement. We don't provide information to federal immigration authorities. We don't ask people about their immigration status. Our mission is clear: to protect life, to uphold the law, and to maintain safety for all people in our communities. Over the last 24 hours, I have addressed every roll call in this city, from last night into this morning. Not because of these news reports, but because I have been concerned. Both over the weekend, we've been getting reports, increased reports of immigration-related activity from members in our community. We can't verify that, but we know people in the community are heightened. And we also know that there have been incidents more recently, 2 very recently in St. Paul, around immigration enforcement. So our objective is straightforward as a police department. I want to try and minimize our officers' exposure to any of that type of enforcement activity and only respond when there is a legitimate public safety issue that we are responsible to our community to provide. And that means when there are threats of violence, when there is actual violence, or when there's property destruction. In moments like this, I know the tensions are high. I know how real the fear is in our community. People are going to want to speak out, to protest, and to exercise their First Amendment rights. Those are the rights of everyone in our community. And I want to be clear that we will absolutely defend people's rights to do just that. I also ask that if demonstrations do happen around any type of immigration raid, that they remain nonviolent, so that we can keep everyone in our community safe, so that we minimize the risk of any tragedy happening, or the immigrant communities that are already suffering to suffer that much more if there is destruction in our neighborhoods. Our officers are committed to serving a diverse city. Mayor, a council member referenced, we have many officers who themselves are immigrants, and many of us are deeply connected to the immigrant community in our city. With that, we are also working around revisions to our immigration enforcement policy. That has been in the works for weeks. We've obtained feedback from community and community-based organizations, and we will be issuing additional guidance this week to our officers, again, to try and address some of the issues that we're seeing nationally, and to provide clear guidelines to our officers. With that, I'll turn it back to our mayor.
We'll open it to questions.
Just to be clear, these 100 agents are on the ground and they call and they need crowd control. Will both cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, continue to send officers for that capacity?
Yeah. I was talking to Mayor Carter about this just recently, and here's the thing. Our police officers are not ICE agents. They will not cooperate with ICE agents. But the presence of ICE agents doesn't suddenly make our police officers not police officers. That's what Mayor Carter said to me the other day, and he's exactly right. Our police officers have an obligation, first of all, not to enforce federal immigration law. That is not their job. I want our police officers keeping people safe. I want our police officers responding to violent crime. I want our police officers preventing homicides and carjackings and shootings from occurring in the first place. You know what I don't want them doing? I don't want our police officers spending a single second hunting the father down that just dropped his kids off at daycare, who's about to go and work a 12-hour shift, who happens to be from Mogadishu or who happens to be from Ecuador. That man makes our city a better place. That man is a valued resident of our city and someone who we're proud to have him call Minneapolis and or St. Paul home. Our police officers do respond to 911 calls. And there are instances where they will have to escort an ambulance. There will be instances when somebody will call 911 reporting a kidnapping. Many times those calls do in fact come in even during some form of federal raid. So the presence of ICE doesn't mean that our responsibility to keep people safe stops. It means that we have to be there to protect people, to protect property, and to save lives. That job doesn't get thrown in the garbage simply because the actions of the federal government happen to be garbage themselves. Please.
If I can respond to that, what we need is a law enforcement presence that's a stabilizing and reassuring presence. Our law enforcement presence ought to make people feel more safe, less fearful, that's the word that you use, and help us facilitate safe outcomes in our community. That's the problem with what we see from the federal government right now, is that we're seeing federal agents operate in communities across our country, not just St. Paul and Minneapolis, but in communities across our country in ways that certainly by impact, certainly have the impact and actually seem to be designed for the purpose of making people more fearful and making people feel less safe in our community. That's a subversion. The problem is, in St. Paul and in Minneapolis and all across the country, is that we see federal agents showing up, and like I said, it feels to me intentionally, but whether it's intentional or not, federal agents showing up in communities across this country and having the impact of making people feel less safe, of making situations feel chaotic. And it is the responsibility of our police officers to respond to unsafe and chaotic situations in our community and help to try to be a stabilizing presence. And that's what I said earlier, and I think Chief O'Hara acknowledged this as well. And the truth is, you can interrupt me if you like, I don't even actually like the phrase crowd control, because our goal has to be what I said at the beginning, to be a stabilizing presence, to be a reassuring presence, and as you've heard many people say today, to facilitate, not control a crowd, but to facilitate the crowd's ability to safely express their First Amendment rights. Now, one of the key things to that is we have people across this metro area who've been trained as peaceful interveners, people who've been trained as witnesses, as people who've been trained to be able to help be organizers. And when we show up to those protests, it's our responsibility to help enforce and follow the norms that help to keep that a peaceful protest, so that we can do our part as well to help be a stabilizing influence. And that's sort of what I was talking about when I said, we have to do the opposite of what they're doing. Sadly, we live in an era where we have to find all of our ways, whether that's community members, whether that's protesters, whether that's elected leaders, whether that's our brothers and sisters in uniform. We all have to find ways to help stabilize things that it feels like our federal government and our President of the United States are intentionally destabilizing. Yes, we need our officers to be helpful.
There you just heard from the mayors of both Minneapolis and St. Paul, a member of the Minneapolis City Council as well, all talking about this immigration enforcement that could be coming to Minnesota that could primarily focus on Somali immigrants living here.
For sure, and it's going to need, obviously you see the unified front there, the mayors of both of the Twin Cities coming together to come out and kind of inform the people and try to keep people calm and inform people about what's going on here, because it's super unfortunate, man. Like, regardless of what side of the political spectrum you fall on, there's just some real inhumane and gross stuff happening.
I hear you. We're going to have more on this this story as it continues to develop. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. And obviously, Minnesota, as I believe Mayor Frey said, it has the highest total of Somali immigrants of anywhere else in the country, maybe the world. So,
Sure. Yeah, and I'm sure, we're hearing from politicians, we're hearing from people on that side, and I'm sure, us here on the afternoon shift, we always like to get the street level view, the view from the people. So I'm sure we'll be hearing from people within the Somali community themselves about how they're reacting to all this.
No doubt. More on this on the Fox 9 Evening News with Kelsey and Simone coming up after this. But Max, we'll be back here tomorrow.
We will be back here tomorrow, same time, same place. You got 22 hours. Do with it what you will. Just meet us back here tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see you then, Max.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, I'm Max Fuller.
Adam Llorens.
5 o'clock news starts right now.